Welcome back to Intables, everyone. So I'm going to go with you guys on the Qs. I'm going to go with you guys on the SPY as well going into tomorrow, so you guys can be prepared with the S&P going into the week. I'm going to go over exactly how I would play into it. Now, one thing to keep in mind this week is that we do have Powell speaking on Thursday. Next Wednesday, we do have core CPI coming out, so we're going to see exactly if we do get a continuation on a decrease in CPI, again, a decrease in inflation, a continuation on that would be very key. And the reason why is because Powell a couple Fridays ago mentioned that we do need a continuation on a decrease in inflation, and we also need a continuation on a decrease in employment. Again, we need to increase on unemployment, so that way the feds are more convinced that we are fighting inflation to a pace that they can have a pivot at. So again, we are anticipating a possible pivot, or we are anticipating no Fed pivot leading into September's Fed rate hike. So again, this is very much predicated on how exactly we're going to move here on the Qs. I'm going to go over all this with you guys. Now, before I jump into this, all I ask in return is you smash that like button and hit subscribe if you want to see more chart updates on potential breakouts that I mention every single day throughout the week. So let's jump into this one. So jumping into the daily chart with you guys here on the Qs, again, a lot of people are curious, are we going to continue on with this momentum to the downside since we got an intraday head and shoulder here? We got a strong reaction to the downside again after we did get this engulfing candle. We did continue on lower, so a lot of people are curious, are we going to continue on with this momentum to the downside, or are we going to find support here? As you guys can see in our MACD, we do have our 12 EMA still crossing below our 26 EMA, and as you guys can see, crossing below the median of our MACD. We do want to see our 12 cross back over our 26. We want a continuation on decreases in sell pressure here. As you guys can see, we had one white shaded line coming in. We did not get that continuation on decreases in sell pressure. We had another white shaded line coming in. We did not get a continuation on that white shaded line. We're looking for a continuation on those white shaded lines, but not only a continuation on those white shaded lines. As you guys can see, we continued on with sell pressure previously. Even though we did continue on with these white shaded lines, we do want our EMA lines to also cross. This is only an early indicator for our EMA lines to cross here. So again, our EMA lines crossing would be that stronger indicator and our confirmation on that move. But again, these white shaded lines decreasing are early indicators for what we could expect or possibly expect again with our 12 crossing with our 26. So again, we are looking for that decrease in sell pressure to the downside to get that possible bounce. And that is, again, very important because as you guys can see previously, we had one of the strongest rallies in the last few weeks. We did have this pullback as we had Powell speaking a couple weeks ago, but again, we had a strong rally here. As you guys can see, our EMA lines crossing above the median of MACD. Again, getting that decrease in sell pressure. Anticipated this. Very much got this very on point here. As you guys can see, getting our bullish divergence. And now looking at our relative strength, as you guys can see, we are pointing down. We may have been pointing up if we didn't get that Nord Stream news on Friday. So we're going to see exactly where we are headed next. As you guys can see, we are pointing down with room to run to the downside at this point since we are pointing down into oversold territory. And again, looking for those possible bullish divergence here is what I'll be looking for. Again, higher lows here as we are oversold. And again, we will be looking those lower lows on our price action, showing us that shift of momentum soon to come, and sure enough, getting that rally like we did previously on those bullish divergence. So again, very much predicated on what Powell has to say this Thursday. We have CPI next Tuesday. I think I said we have CPI next Wednesday, but we have CPI next Tuesday. So again, very much predicated on what exactly happens if we do again get a continuation with a hawkish Powell, and then we get for some reason an increase in CPI. That would be super bearish, and so we would have a large reaction, in my opinion, to the downside and possibly continue on below this 281 mark that we would be looking for. Now, as far as playing to the upside, if Powell happens to go bullish, if we do get a large decrease in inflation, and in my opinion, that is very possible as well, because again, we have 78 days of continuously decreases in gas prices. So again, that could mean that we do get that decrease in inflation, we get a possible Fed pivot, we have a possible decrease in rate hikes. And again, like I said, that is very much important to watch what Powell has to say. If he mentions anything about 50 basis points not being on the table, that would take away all of that possibility on a Fed pivot coming into this September's Fed rate hike and that anticipation for our bounce back. So again, not too confusing, but again, decreases in inflation, increases in unemployment, looking for a dovish Powell and looking for that continuation. So that way the Feds do feel comfortable enough to have this Fed pivot that we would be looking for is exactly what we're going to focus on. Now, again, with that said, I know the market has been very choppy. We had quite the pullback recently. We had quite the rally recently. We mentioned intraday perspective breakouts within the same day. If you are a day trader or you are looking for very volatile breakouts that we mention every single day in the Intables room, go to instables.com in the description below, and you'll never miss a breakout alert today again. And again, all of you Instables that come over every single day and support the channel, I hope you guys do have a nice rest of your 3-day weekend. Happy Labor Day going into tomorrow. I'm going to go over the SPY tomorrow so you guys can see exactly where we may be headed next as well. Going to be very similar to here on the Qs, but again, if there's any Nord Stream update updates going into tomorrow. I will mention that as well. That could predicate exactly where we're headed next as well. Again, a large red candle on Friday with a possible engulfing candle to continue on with that momentum to the downside. Going to be very cautious. And again, if you guys do like this video, it does help the channel grow, and I do appreciate it very much. And again, God bless you all, and I'll see you guys in the next video.